process to find South Africa's next National Director of Public Prosecutions is officially underway. And for more on this, let's now welcome Mr. Koogan Pillay, who's a board member of the Stellenbosch University's Anti-Corruption Unit. Koogan, it's good to have you with us. A very good afternoon. We apologize for our earlier mistake there. So you have seen, of course, the start of the proceedings of these interviews. But what has been your take so far on the first candidates that took to the hot seat, specifically yesterday and some today?
Yes, good afternoon to you, and thank you for the opportunity, and good afternoon to the viewers as well. So my concern on the shortlist is that we've had very few candidates coming in, and I'm not sure if that talks to the level of the position being a hot seat, given the dynamics in the country, the level of corruption, and what we've been seeing. And even within those few candidates, we have some of them with a questionable track record, questionable credentials in terms of integrity. So that's concerning. But I think from some of them, we've had some interesting responses. And I think the panel has got the grueling task of making sure that we end up with the best candidate in the end, in terms of where the country is presently, following the state capture, commission of Justice Zondo, and following the high levels of corruption and the impact on society itself. So I'm hoping by the end of the process, we have the best candidate that can be matched to the task at hand.
Absolutely, Koogan. I mean, another interesting aspect, I suppose, is the fact that this advisory panel as well consisted of quite a number of different adjudicators with different skills and influence in key governance sectors like the Auditor General, for example, to ensure that what you've just spoken about, that the final candidate list comprises only of astute and properly qualified, most importantly, ethical individuals who will put the interest of justice above their own and lead this office with decorum and without fear or favor.
Definitely. So speaking on behalf of Stellenbosch University, and we hosted the inaugural Babita Deokaran lecture on Tuesday, which talks to the level of integrity that Babita has demonstrated and unfortunately paid with her life. Like many other whistleblowers, investigators, witnesses we've seen recently, and some officials in high places. So the task at hand is quite demanding, given that we've had the State Capture Commission. There's been very poor political appetite in meeting with the recommendations that Justice Zondo has meted out. And unfortunately, from that perspective, the country is worse off. You might remember Bishop Tutu, when in 2018, when President Ramaphosa came in, advised him and stated to him that the country is screaming for action, screaming for results, given the state capture period. But unfortunately, in the last 7 years, the level of corruption, the level of impunity seems to have worsened. And following the Zondo Commission and the lack of implementation of the measures that Zondo had prescribed, we now have the Madlanga Commission. And as you will have witnessed, on Friday evening, we had the assassination of a witness prior to him going full-blown with all the evidence he has after informing the Madlanga Commission of the goings-on at the Ekurhuleni Council. So yes, you're quite right. I think the colleagues we have on the panel are quite impressive. Professor Fikeni himself participated at the Stellenbosch meeting on Tuesday. And as you're aware, he is also leading the aspect on professionalizing the public service. So my thinking is at the end of this grueling panel and coming out with the ideal candidate, that we would need to be very clear on the deliverables for the successful candidate, the mandate, and that the public can then expect to see some results in the coming months and years, because corruption has been the center of delivery, of public service delivery, and also has been mentioned as a potential existential threat to our young democracy.
Very interesting indeed, Koogan. You spoke about questionable credentials earlier on, right? Now, I keep stressing this point that the fact that we are actually seeing and witnessing these interviews in public, added with the fact that the public also had a chance to comment on the shortlisted candidates, is quite a welcome, inclusive and transparent process, especially in light of allegations like you've just made reference to of judicial infiltration and misconduct. So this process actually allows everyone to see the individual that will be tasked with this most difficult job.
No, definitely. I think we can learn lessons from our last 30 years in terms of the level of people we've had, the capabilities, but also the credentials and the level of ethics. So as much as we can have the most appropriate candidate from a professional point of view and the expertise, equally compelling is the level of ethics. And I think that is where citizens come in. And I think the process has allowed for feedback. And it was encouraging to see many civil society organizations, many individuals across the country have given input into it. And I think that is where you are seeing the level of satisfaction or dissatisfaction with some of the candidates. But I think most importantly going forward is how do we measure accountability? Given that this portfolio is critical, to holding officials to account, officials that have been elected, nominated, and in terms of carrying out the constitutional mandate of ensuring a better life for all. And I think this is where the recommendations from the Zondo Commission in terms of the professionalization and all the other aspects are important. And the candidates, the panel members that we have there, such as the Auditor General as well, amongst others, that we bring to bear on the successful candidate, the task at hand. And I think we need to tighten up because we don't have the opportunity or the luxury of having another person in this key position for the next 7 years without seeing some important prosecutions for people that have committed gross violations against the citizenry at large.
Absolutely, Koogan. I mean, ethics are not reflected on CVs, but through character as well as, of course, behavior. We're going to leave it there, Koogan. Thank you so much for that insightful engagement there. That is Mr. Koogan Pillay of the Stellenbosch University's Anti-Corruption Unit weighing in on the NDPP interviews.